Hello, today we're going to learn how to divide decimals. In this example here, we have 8/10 divided by 4. It's telling me that the answer is 2/10. How did we get 2/10? The first thing we did was shade in 8/10 because that's what was given to us as our whole that we're breaking into 4 pieces. Now notice the 8/10 is shaded in green. Then you see that there's a rectangle around 2/10 here, another 2/10 here, another 2/10 here, and another 2/10 here. That's breaking the entire 8/10 into 4 equal pieces. And each piece has 2/10. Therefore, my answer to this problem is 2/10. In this next example, we have 6/10 divided by 2. First thing I'm going to do is shade in 6/10. 1/10, 2/10, 3/10, 4/10, 5/10, 6/10. Then it's asking me to break it into 2 equal pieces. To do that, I want to think about how many different ways can I break up 6/10 into 2 equal pieces. In fact, there's only one way you could do that. I have 6/10, or 6 divided by 2, 6/10 divided by 2, which is going to give me 3 equal pieces. So let's see, 1/10, 2/10, and 3/10. And now I have 1/10, 2/10, and 3/10 again. Now notice I was able to break the entire 6/10, nothing's left over, into 2 equal pieces. Each piece has 3/10 in it. Therefore, the answer to my problem is 3/10. Now, some of you might have saw that you have 6 pieces of a whole, or 6/10, and you took those 6 pieces and you broke it and you divided by 2. 6 divided by 2 is 3. However, here we don't have 3 wholes. We have 3/10 in each group. That's why my answer is 3/10. In this next one, we have 1 and 5/10 divided by 3. First thing I'm going to do is shade in 1 and 5/10, which is also the same as 15/10. So here I have my 1 whole, and I have 5/10, 1/10, 2/10, 3/10, 4/10, and 5/10. As you can see here, I have 15 pieces shaded, or 15/10. I take that 15/10 and I divide that by 3. So really 15 divided by 3 is 5, but when I shade in 5 in each group, so I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or 5/10. I don't just have 5. I don't have 5 wholes. I have 5/10. Now let's see if this is correct. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And now I have another 5/10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and another 5/10. Now I'm going to go back to my problem and see if this is correct. So looking here, I have 1 and 5/10 divided by 3. I took the 1 and 5/10 that was shaded in green and I broke it into 3 equal pieces. Now looking at each piece, I see that each piece has 5/10 in it. Therefore, my answer is 5/10. Now, some of you might be looking at this problem and say, well, 15 divided by 3 is 5. That's true, but here we have 1 and 5/10, or 15/10 divided by 3. Now, if I take that and divide it by 3, I'm looking at my individual group. Each group has 5/10 in it, not just 5, not 5 wholes. It has a piece of a whole, and we can say that this group here has 5/10 as my answer. For this problem here, we have 3/10 divided by 3. So I'm first going to shade in 1/10, 2/10, and 3/10. Now I'm going to divide this by 3. That means I'm going to take my 3/10 and I'm going to determine how can I make 3 equal groups. So I'm going to divide that into 3. So I'm seeing what's shaded in and I'm like, wow, this is how I can make 3 equal pieces. I have 1/10, 1/10, and another 1/10. Now notice each group has 1/10. I have nothing left over here. I used all the green pieces. I shaded in 3/10. I used the whole 3/10, and I broke that into 3 pieces. Each piece has 1/10. Therefore, my answer is 1/10. Now, again, some of you might say, well, 3 divided by 3 is 1. You are correct. However, in this situation, we have 3/10 divided by 3, giving us an answer of 1/10. Now, some of you might be recognizing a pattern here, but remember, use the visual model to help you solve this and help you discover this pattern. For this one here, we have 1 and 8/10 divided by 3. So first I'm going to shade in the one hole, and then I'm also going to shade in 8/10. 1/10, 2/10, 3/10, 4/10, 5/10, 6/10, 7/10, and 8/10. This is giving me 1 and 8/10 or 18/10. I need to break that into 3 equal pieces. And I know, wow, I have 18/10, so I have 18 pieces. 18 divided by 3 is 6. So maybe 6/10 could be a possibility as my answer, but let's find out. 1/10, 2/10, 3/10, 4/10, 5/10, 6/10. So that's one group, but I need to check and confirm that my answer is correct. 1/10, 2/10, 3/10, 4/10, 5/10, 6/10. Here's another group. 1/10, 2/10, 3/10, 4/10, 5/10, 6/10. Wow, I was able to create 3 equal groups, just like the problem asked me to do, and I have nothing left over. And in each group, I have 6/10. Therefore, my answer to this problem is 6/10. Now, if you first saw this and you're like, well, 18 divided by 3 is 6, 18 divided by 3 is 6, but here we had 18/10 or 1 and 8/10 divided by 3. So in this situation, each group doesn't just have 6, it has 6/10. Now, today you might see visual models, and you're also going to see problems that look like this. I would like you first to start with the visual models to help you discover some of these patterns. Feel free when you're solving problems that look like this. I encourage you to draw models on your paper and then solve the problem. Use that model to help you discover your answer. Now here, in this situation here, we have 8/10 divided by 4. So imagine having 8/10. We got to break that 8/10 into 4 equal pieces. I happen to know that 8 divided by 4 is 2, but we wouldn't have 2 holes here because I'm starting with 8/10, so I'm breaking into smaller pieces. So my answer here wouldn't be 2, it would be 2/10. Now for this next one, I have 3 and 6/10 divided by 6, or you can even say 36/10 divided by 6. And I might know that 36 divided by 6 is 6, but 6 is not just my answer because I'm breaking this into smaller pieces. And I don't have 6 holes, I would have 6/10. Next one, I have 1 and 6/10 divided by 4. I could also say, wow, I have 16/10 divided by 4. 16 divided by 4 is 4. But if I have 16/10, it's breaking into smaller pieces, so I'm going to be left with just 4/10. I hope many of you are recognizing a pattern here. Looking here, I have 9/10 divided by 3. So I have 9/10, and I'm breaking that into 3 equal pieces. Now, once I break that into 3 equal pieces, 9 divided by 3 is 3, but I noticed I had 9/10, so if I break 9/10 into 3 equal pieces, I'm going to be left with 3/10. Now here I have 3 and 5/10 divided by 7, or I have 35/10 divided by 7. And if I did 35 divided by 7, I'm going to be left with 5. But notice I started with 3 and 5/10. So it's breaking into smaller groups. So each group is going to have 5/10 in it to create 7 equal groups. Now here I have 2 and 2/10 divided by 2, or 22/10 divided by 2. 22 divided by 2 is 11. The problem here is we have 2 and 2/10. So we're going to have 1 and 1/10. Notice my answers here are smaller than what I originally started with. You're breaking your whole amount that you have into smaller pieces and determining how many how many pieces are in each group. Your answers will always be smaller than what you started with here. Okay, your answers need to also include that decimal point, and that decimal point represents that it's most likely going to be smaller than what you started with. So it's really important that if you're solving this and you might recognize, okay, 22 divided by 2 is 11. It's impossible that 11 is your answer. You started with 22 tenths or 2 and 2 tenths. So please be mindful of that when you're solving these problems. This is brand new information, but I do believe that with practice, you will start to find that dividing decimals is very, very simple. Feel free to refer back to this video at any time to help you with today's assignments.